Well, hi YouTubers, hi, I'm back with 60 books in isolation, and it's straight on from Paige Toon, The Longest Holiday. This is called Paige Toon, One Perfect Christmas and Other Stories. Now, what's interesting is this, it's kind of like a continuation of her previous books. What happens after the end? What happens after Happily Ever After? Now, I'm going to read the books it kind of mentions, okay? One Perfect Summer, which One Perfect Christmas comes from. Johnny Be Good and Baby Be Mine. Chasing Daisy. Pictures of Lily. The One We Fell in Love With, The Last Piece of My Heart, 13 Weddings, and The Longest Holiday. Now, obviously, I just reviewed The Longest Holiday. I have read The One We Fell in Love With, and also 13 Weddings. So those are the only three stories I'm going to be talking about, because I find it very difficult to kind of connect with the other stories because I had no idea who these characters are. This book is more for a really big fan of Paige Toon, who's read all her works. Now, as I said before in the first review, a lot of her books are kind of like characters kind of appear in other stories. It kind of extends through there, expands through there, which is absolutely great. Her books can be read as standalone. But if you read the first one, okay, which is, what was the first one? Lucy in the Sky, which I haven't actually read, and go down from there. I think you'll find it a bit more of a stronger narrative, if you will. So, now, this one here, okay, is A Christmas Wedding, okay, and 13 Weddings. Now, interesting is this, is, let me just, the story of 13 Weddings is a story of Bronte, who is a wedding photographer, and she meets Alex. Now, what happened is Alex and her had this great hookup. They could have been together. However, Alex winds up taking pictures at his wedding, and that's a story where the love interest doesn't get the girl. It's quite a bittersweet ending. Bronte agrees to move on and with Lachlan in Australia, while Alex stays in America. Sorry, stays in the UK. And this picks up a couple of years later because at the time you had the feeling that these two could have got together, and they should have got together, but it was at the wrong time. So, picking up. So, Bronte, 3.5 years after the end of 13 Weddings. Okay? This bit here. Right. Blackie and I lived in the same flat in the same northern beach village where we first settled almost 4 years ago. Lucky was moving home to Australia permanently with his extended visa. I was supposed to be visiting for Christmas before I turned to my job in London. A certain someone rang and told me he'd left a wife he'd married right in front of me and wanted to be with me instead. Alex's declaration of love was everything I had hoped to hear for months, but it was too late. I was happy with Lucky. Alex had already caused too much pain. However, she gets an email from Alex. He's coming to Australia, and when they want to meet. And the thing is, it's kind of interesting to see her dynamic with Lachlan, because there's a feeling that obviously Bronte's happy. She's been with this guy now for obviously a few years, but there's cracks. Basically, Bronte's kind of growing up with her life. She's in now her 30s. She's maturing, but Lachlan, that happy, dynamic personality she fell in love with, has not matured. So there is a struggle that no one's admitting. Right, this bit here. Lucky and I live in a one-bedroom flat on the top floor of a two-storey building, a couple of blocks on the beach. There is a small balcony at the front, which is in the summer host barbecue aplenty, but is currently being used only as a space for drip drying Lucky's wetsuits. Lucky serves almost every day. One little envy that he has time to. His work takes place outside regular office hours. He plays the guitar and sings mostly at weddings, but also at birthdays and other special occasions. I met him at a wedding, and he was giggling, and I was taking the pictures. I thought it was so sexy, so far from my idea of a typical wedding singer. But the thing is, when she meets up with Alex, that spark, that connection that they first had all those years ago is still there. And it's very, very interesting because this is a short story, it was more like a novella, if you will, of a woman who is trying not to cheat on her boyfriend, which is quite interesting to read. A lot of authors would not have gone down that path. And it kind of shows, though, the more she's with Alex, the more the cracks are in her and Lachlan's relationship. And this bit here, this bit here. This is when, again, Alex basically finally apologises to her face what happened. Going through with the wedding, in 13 Weddings, that we weren't sure about seemed less than horrendous and letting everyone down. At least that's how it felt when we were in the midst of it. Christ, I wish I'd done it differently. There's so many things I regret. He shakes his head. I'm so sorry, Bronte. Looks pain as he meets my eyes. I fucked everything up so badly. But then, like a dick, I kept emailing you. His face twists in disgust. I should have just backed off. I arrogantly assumed that I could make up for the past mistakes. If I told you enough, I was sorry. But you were happy with Lucky and I was an idiot. I'm sorry, he repeats, his bright eyes shining. Now, that is quite ballsy for the romantic lead, if you will, romantic force lead, at various points, to even do. Okay, to show some hubris, to show some humility, and say, I think you know all these emails, I basically screwed with your mind, and I apologise. That shows, now, I've read 13 Weddings, okay, and the difference between Alex in that book and the Alex now is it's still the same character, but you can see how he's grown, you can see how he's developed, and you can see how he's become a better person. He has become the better person for Bronte, okay? The thing is this, now, obviously, now Bronte's in her 30s, and the real clincher is this. Now, I'm just on my foot. Is a lot of these stories in this book is the continuation of the characters, and majority of them have children. That's always a natural progression, okay, in contemporary romantic fiction. Is babies are inevitable through adoption, through obviously biological, through whatever, okay? Well, hey, one left on the doorstep. There is inevitability, okay? These ends in marriage and babies. It's an inevitability. But this is the clincher because this bit here. I don't want to wait much longer. I'm going to be 35 next month, I say imploringly. I'm not ready, he states, again, shaking his head and letting go of my hand. When no one thinks they're ready, then they have a baby. And it's the best thing that ever happened to them. He stares at me directly. It's not going to happen. Not anytime soon. I can't even support a kid. I have to go back to work, I say, feeling a pang at the thought of a horrible short maternity leave. Want to be a stay-at-home dad? He asks incredulously, getting to my feet. We're really lucky, I say. You work nights and weekends while I work weekdays. One of us will always be with him, or her. Why does I have a battle on my hands in convincing him he doesn't even want a baby? And yet here I am suggesting he'd be the primary carer. Try as I might, I can't just bury my head in the sand about this one. The weeks lead up to my setting off to the UK are overwrought. Going to the UK for a friend's wedding. Are overwrought with tension, arguments, and there is no compromise to be found. I want a baby. Lucky doesn't. It's as simple as that. We're stuck stagnant. We know where to go. The relationship is over. Obviously, this is a conversation I should have had very, very early on in their relationship. Okay, you know, do we want kids? How old are we gonna be? We can't just be basically screwing around with this. Okay, she's in her 30s. She wants a child, and that's understandable. So it kind of shows, okay, the pitfalls of this relationship and how toxic it can become over time. And I don't know, when they mentioned, okay, the different kind of shifts, it really struck a chord with me because I grew up in a house which did that, which had separate shifts, okay? My parents raised 4 children, okay? I'm the youngest of the 4. My mum was, she's now retired. She was a nurse and she worked nights, okay? My dad worked the days. The reason was there would always be someone on hand for the children. Us, obviously. So watching my parents, the dynamic, if you will, okay? You know, one was coming in, one was coming out. They still spent much of the time together as they could. My parents worked their arse off. We still had holidays each year, okay? So family time was important to us, and it still is now. So that kind of struck a chord to me, okay? The fact is that Lucky won't make sacrifices for his relationship. The relationship is over. That's it. And so obviously, then Alex is there. Alex is there, okay? Alex is there to be this, okay? And I don't normally condone adultery in fiction, okay? Or couples who back then were toxic, but now they're matured enough to actually be together. Now the kind of barriers are gone. Now they realize how they screwed up and they've got better. But this I actually champion. And when I read 13 Weddings, I was going to be disappointed. Relieved because at the time Alex was quite toxic. But he's grown up, he's matured, he's become a better person, he's apologised, he showed hubris. He's become a better man, okay? You've realised how much he messed up. And him and Bronte, yes, they're right at the right point, they should be together. Which is a surprise. Back then, when I read 13 Weddings, I applauded Bronte and Lucky getting together. But when the reality is should in their relationship, they shouldn't have been together. And so, here you go. Maria turns up for what to do my makeup, but I'm styling my own hair, my trademark fishnet plait. I get into my dress, my pretty long sleeve lace knee length number, as colour of creme caramel. I team it with brown cowboy boots. I can't believe this is happening, and I really can't. It feels very surreal, but I know I want to be with Alex the rest of my life, but I can't actually get my head around the fact I'm marrying him today. I'm marrying him. Reader, I married him. So, yeah. You know, to quote another Bronte, if you will. So, yeah, I generally did enjoy 13 Weddings. The sequel to 13 Weddings. Okay? Now, another one I'm going to talk about, because this is the book review of this, okay, was Paige Toon, Longest Holiday. And this shows Laura further along the lines, okay? She is not married. She has a baby, okay? And kind of shows a difference between her relationship, okay? This bit here. I ran away to Key West. The chapter's called, what's the chapter called? Laura's Longest Day. Okay, it's when Laura stuck in UK trying to get back to her home in Key West and kind of going through her life since that moment. Okay, it's set a few years later. I ran away to Key West with Marty and Bridget. I was only supposed to be away for a fortnight, but I stayed. I met Leo, developed a whooping great crush, and decided to bury my head in the sand indefinitely. Everyone tried to get me to return to England to face the music, including Marty, who laid on pressure on me to forgive Matthew and welcome his baby son into our lives. But I couldn't. It began as a crush, strengthened into something more, and I fell in love. Couldn't let Leo go. So, yeah, and now she's got Max, but it's quite interesting how she's in the UK watching on the news, okay, about a hurricane hitting Key West, which has actually happened quite a bit over the last few years, okay? I believe the last hurricane hit Key West was a few years ago. And it's quite interesting how, even though she's supposed to get a happy ever after, it kind of shows the different dynamics between her and Leo. Sometimes it kind of felt, how she would describe it, sorry, my foot's really bad today, I've got a mental minute. When she was describing her relationship with Leo, it kind of, Leo is not what you call a heart stuff as romantic sort. It's kind of like a casual conversation meant that they had their baby Max. He's not really kind of heart stuff as, a bit more sensible for that. There's a different kind of dynamic between her original, the race car driver, her ex-husband, and Leo. It's a bit more to the point. And I kind of liked it. It kind of shows that a happy ever after needs to be worked out. Okay? Right. The longest day was followed by a longest night in that followed by the longest month, because that's how long Max and I have to spend in the UK after the hurricane. I'm each with frustration, utterly miserable, being separated from Liam for so long. He persuades me to remain with my parents who can crack on with repairs without having to worry about us. Dylan was battered by 100 plus mile per hour winds for almost 48 hours. He told me on one of our early phone calls when I heard the airport had reopened and wanted to jump on a plane. As the stuff went flying, boats crashed onto the streets where the storm surged and there was crap everywhere. Literally, the sewer system failed. You can't bring our baby son back to this mess. We're separated from my partner and going through these motions. But as I said before, when I did the first book review of this, of all things, Trouble in Paradise. There is no happy... People who live on these islands, okay, which is so... They need a tourist trade so much. They're at the mercy of the elements, and there's no escaping from that. This kind of shows how Laura really grew up as a character. Now she's upset, okay? She's upset about what's happening to the key. Upset about being separated from her partner. But the thing, she's less mopey. She's more feisty. She's more independent. She's strong. She's had to become strong. It took, obviously, Will and Matthew and Leo for her to become the person that she truly is. So it was nice meeting her at this point. She's more cynical. She's harder. So I really, really enjoyed this. I didn't mention the one we fell in love with, actually, because I didn't think there was a point. But because that's just, I didn't know what that one was about. But if you're a fan of Paige Toon and you've read all her other books prior to this, you will really, really get a kick out of this book. Very, very few authors would ever go after the end, if you will. What happens at the end, okay? So, we take it for granted that characters will be happy. Then they have to actually work on it. So yes, I enjoyed this book. Paige Toon, you're an amazing author, and I love your work. I'm signing off here. If I can find them, I will review the rest of Paige Toon's books. And I'm signing off here, everyone. Loves. Bye now.